this is Kate from yourcourageouslife.com, and today I'm going to talk in this video about how to take a digital sabbatical. One of the things that's so interesting about this internet culture that we have going on right now is that people are feeling inundated with everything that's coming at them through these computer screens. We've got email, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, social media in general. Google Plus is making its way onto the scene. There are videos to watch, there are sales pitches, there are newsletters, there are e-programs, there are digital books. There's just so much stuff on the internet that you can get lost in a vacuum. In the fall of 2011, I had just launched the Coaching Blueprint, and I massively underestimated the amount of time that it would take to create and edit and launch a product of that magnitude into the marketplace. I was completely surprised by it. And I wouldn't take anything back, and yet at the same time I also see how I started to make choices, and they seemed like really small choices at the time, kind of like that expression about how you can put a frog in a pot with water, and if you just turn the heat up very slowly, it won't notice that it's reached boiling point until it's too late. But that if you were to put the frog straight into hot water, they'd immediately jump out. It was kind of like that slow temperature rise for me in the fall of 2011. And I started to realize that what I really needed was to take a digital sabbatical. I needed to get away from email, blogs, social media, the internet, all of it. Here are my tips for how you can take a digital sabbatical if you're interested in taking one. I found it to be a really valuable experience, and you might as well. My first tip would be that you have to prepare weeks in advance if you want to do it with integrity. I'm all about supporting people in choosing themselves and putting self-care first. And at the same time, I think that it's out of integrity for someone to say, well, I just need to take care of myself, too bad for you, and dump a bunch of work on other people or not honor commitments. I think that a digital sabbatical is the type of undertaking that can be planned, and that if you start telling people about it weeks in advance and really looking at what your workload is and how you can delegate or start to rearrange some of the different commitments that you had so that everybody's feeling like the commitments were honored, it can be a really successful experience, and nobody needs to feel like they've been left in the lurch. The second how-to for taking a digital sabbatical is related to the first, and it's honor commitments. If you really want to have a successful experience with this and you don't want to burn any bridges, it's important to look at what commitments you have upcoming. When I took my digital sabbatical, the weeks leading up to it were pretty crazy because I was basically doing my regular workload plus I was doing extra work to try to get ahead so that I could take this time away for myself. I was really committed to taking this digital sabbatical, and so I was willing to do the extra work that it would take in order to be ready for taking some time away from work altogether. It was important to me to honor commitments and to be in integrity about how I was taking this digital break. The third tip I'll give you is to have backup plans. If you're going to take a digital sabbatical, it's really important that even though you're telling people that you really can't be in contact with them, there is some backup way for them to get in contact with you if they need to. This is particularly important for business owners, and here's how I did it. I set up an autoresponder on my email so that anybody who emailed me would know that I was on digital break. And like I said, I started telling people about it several weeks in advance to try to avoid having anyone have the experience of just suddenly emailing me and I wasn't available. I offered an email address that was like an emergency contact that went to a VA who was really a friend of mine who had agreed to be my temp VA and handle emails for me while I was away. And I also provided a phone number. I let all of my clients know that I was going on break and said, hey, if you need to call me, of course, call me. And basically providing backup plans meant that if someone downloaded a copy of the Courageous Living Guide or the Coaching Blueprint and they ran into a techie snafu, they were able to contact my friend VA and say, hey, here's what's going on. And then my friend VA was able to let me know, and then we were able to make sure that they got what they needed. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to go on a digital sabbatical and cause problems for anyone else. And if I'm taking 30 days away from the computer, I certainly wouldn't want somebody to have to wait 30 days to get their downloadable product. I'd also never want my clients to feel like if they had an emergency arise while I was away, they couldn't contact me. So set up backup plans so that if there is an emergency and someone needs to contact you, they can. The fourth thing that I'll say, though, about taking a digital sabbatical is you really need to be committed to it. You need to be willing to say no. You need to be willing to say to somebody who's trying to push your boundaries, I'm sorry, I actually can't jump on the computer and go do this thing for you right now because I've made this commitment. I'm happy to do it when I get back from my sabbatical, and I was willing to take care of it before I left. And right now, this is what I'm committed to. This is a difficult conversation to have. It's hard to tell people no, especially when they are really insisting that what they need is of vital importance. And yet, this can be one of the most beautiful things to come out of taking a digital sabbatical. Really realizing that yes, it is okay for you to prioritize your needs and your self-care. Now, I already mentioned that I don't think it's the greatest idea to just flake out on commitments and then go take a break and then say, well, too bad for you if somebody contacts you during that time. But if we're assuming that you approach this with integrity, you honored your commitments, you took care of everything you could before you left, you let people know in advance. If somebody's really pushing your boundaries around needing you to break that digital sabbatical, then it could be a really beautiful gift for you to practice saying no. I care for you, I respect you, I'm a team player, and I need this little space. I need this, and I have good reasons for needing it. I'm gonna protect it because it's something that I'm not willing to compromise, because I'm not willing to compromise myself. The final thing that I'll share about taking a digital sabbatical: be intentional. Decide what you'd really like to get out of this time. When I took my digital sabbatical, I knew that one of the things that I really wanted to do is I wanted to meditate every single day of that sabbatical. Not 24/7, but I wanted to make sure that I meditated at some point every day of these 30 days. Because meditation is something that brings me back to myself in a really beautiful way, and I'd fallen away from it. So that was something that I did. And I did a lot of other writing and personal growth work and inquiry and really asking myself good questions that would help me have, as I put it, a reboot on my life. So I would really invite you to be intentional about how you take time away from the internet. Because if you're not intentional about it, the concern that I would have is that it's all too easy to just slide back into going, well, you know, there's all this open space and I don't have anything to fill it. What should I fill it with? Well, you know, I'll just check Facebook for a minute, and then 3 hours later, you've watched a couple of dancing hamster videos and it's all done. If any of this resonates for you, I bet you feel it in your body right now. So if taking a digital sabbatical is the right step for you, I hope that these tips are helpful. And I would love to hear a little bit about your experience of taking a digital sabbatical. So head over to the Your Courageous Life Facebook page, which is at facebook.com/yourcourageouslife.com. Find where this video is posted and respond to it. Tell us a little bit about your experience of taking a digital sabbatical or what you would hope to gain from taking a digital sabbatical.